You are watching GrassRoots Community Television, helping you make television people watch everywhere. Broadcasting on cable channel 82 in Glenwood Springs and Carbondale, and channel 12 in Aspen, Snowmass, Basalt, and Elgin. Free over-the-air broadcasts throughout the Roaring Fork Valley. All programs can be watched anytime, anywhere at grassrootstv.org.
The days go by, I can feel them flying like a hand out the window as the cars go by. It's all we've been given, so you better start living. You better start living. Better start living right now. As days go by, I can feel them flying like a hand out the window with the wind. The cars go by. It's all we've been given.
Hello and welcome to MomsTV. Well, today we are talking about parenting, which won't surprise you because that's what we do here on MomsTV. But when it comes to parenting, there is no shortage of information out there for us. There's no shortage of great books to read. There's no shortage of websites and information. But one thing that parents have a tendency to avoid are parenting classes. And there are some awesome parenting classes out there being taught right here in the Roaring Fork Valley and all over the country. And they are for you, not just for your friends whose kids misbehave all the time. Not just for your friends whose kids are in trouble. They're not just for parents who need a little help, because the bottom line is we all need help. So I'm being joined today by my friends from Youth Zone who are, I said earlier, experts in their field. And Tina, you said, what does it take to be an expert? Well, what it takes is a little bit of experience. That's it. We're all experts at being moms, I think. And so I'm so glad to have you guys back again to talk about parenting. I'm going to start over here on this end. We have Lori Mueller, who's the program director at Youth Zone, and I know has been teaching parenting classes for 20 plus years. So.
Yes, before I had kids, which I feel like I've gotten just a little bit better.
Yeah, we were saying
by experience.
We were saying earlier it's hard to teach those parenting classes when you have no experience and you're just looking at the book.
Yep, absolutely.
But good for you for starting it way back then.
Yeah.
You laid a good foundation. And Kerri Cheney, who is the senior counselor at Youth Zone and also has been teaching parenting classes for a number of years. And you teach some really interesting ones, including one whose name I love, and that is parenting teens through moods and attitudes.
Yep.
And I love that because they all do seem to have a little attitude going.
Do. Come with that.
So good. And then Tina Olson, who is the youth and family specialist at Youth Zone, and also a wealth of experience with your own kids and teaching parenting classes. So I want to dive right in and just talk about, there are so many different kinds of parents, and this is not about trying to be a one-size-fits-all parent. Right. There's no perfect way to parent. In fact, we don't call it perfect parenting. We call it positive parenting. And so in the world of positive parenting, start at the very beginning, because that's where we start. When kids are old enough to talk back is generally when I think it's a good idea to have some tools in your toolbox.
That's when you're looking at the books, and yeah, that's the tough part.
Yeah.
You can talk back.
Yeah, so one of the first things that I always hear is that if you're going to lay a foundation for a great relationship with your kids is to parent with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. And it may be the end in mind today, what do I want this day to look like, but really more importantly is, what do I want this child to be in 18, 19, 20 years? What do I want my relationship to be with this child? And what do I want this family to look like? So I think parenting with the end in mind is a really great place for us to start today's discussion, and I'm really curious how that looks for you all. With your experience in teaching parenting, how would you guide a parent, for instance, Lori, to parent with the end in mind?
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, because one of the things we do in our classes is really just give parents some space to come up with a list. Let's talk about that. What qualities, how do you imagine your 18-year-old when you're sending them off into the world? What do they look like? What kind of qualities do they have? Are they generous? Are they independent? Are they educated? Are they happy? Are they self-reliant? What words come up for parents? And it is really different for some parents. And then to get your head around, what am I doing today to create opportunities to teach those things or to model those things. And sometimes we overthink some things.
Yeah,
It's just like,
over-engineer.
yes, I have to say the right thing and I have to say it exactly right. Like you said, it's not about being perfect. It's about more our intentions as a parent. It's like, if my intention is to teach generosity, what am I showing my child today? How am I showing generosity today? So it's good just to, in our classes, to give parents space to be thinking of those things.
I think it's probably also really great to be thinking about what am I doing today that might interfere with them learning those qualities of generosity or honesty or whatever. I mean, what are the little things? For instance, one thing I was thinking of when you were talking is if I say that I value honesty and I want my children to value honesty, but they hear me giving little white lies like, oh, tell them I'm not here.
Right.
You know, I'm in the shower. What kind of message does that send? What are the unintended consequences of my little white lie?
Right. Here's another great way that we're a little dishonest with our kids is when, and we're talking young, right? When we first start teaching our kids how to apologize and what forgiveness means, we usually say, you will apologize to your brother right now for taking his truck, right?
Right.
They may not be sorry at all. They wanted the truck, they got the truck, everything is good for them, and we're saying you have to apologize. So it's kind of the first time we teach our kids to lie, that this is the right time to lie, instead of teaching them what does it mean to have empathy, and how do you talk about that, and you know, more bigger parenting things, instead of my children will know how to apologize, you know.
Well, that brings up another point for me too, that I'm picturing two kids fighting and mom in the other room saying, well, you know what? They just have to figure it out. They just have to learn how to fight. They've got to learn how to do that. And I think there's definitely some value in letting kids work through their own problems, but at a very young age, and I just wonder what you think, at what age are they too young to figure that out? How much guidance do they need? How much of our coming in and saying, wow, you guys look really upset. Do you need some help? You know what I'm saying? I mean, how much guidance do they need versus how much of our just going, yeah, you know, they'll figure it out. What do you think?
I think early on they need a high level of guidance, and I think that's when you're teaching them that you're sharing, you're going back and forth. How did you feel about it? How did this affect you? And back and forth, you're teaching them that if you communicate with others, you get in a space where you're listening to others and you're working it out. That problem-solving space, I think they can't be too young for that, honestly.
I think at every point when you hear that argument is becoming harmful, whatever age that is, then you need to intervene, whatever age that is. If that argument is getting hurtful and harmful and there's more damage coming from that, then they're not learning how to do that positively and correctly, and the value system that you want them to kind of work on, they've crossed the line on that. So whatever age that is, that's when you need to jump in.
So do I jump in, and I'm asking this rhetorically, of course, but do I jump in, you know, all guns loaded, coming in and saying, stop that fighting, you guys are separated, you're in timeout, you go to this room. What do I do? How do I come in and diffuse a situation, a fight?
Well, if it's at a 10 and it's heated, you might need some space. Again, as a parent, there's no perfect way to do it, but you have to read it. Read what's going on.
Right.
Make the best decision that you can make. Is this a situation that needs space? Because then we need to create the space and then we'll come back together. Or if you think it's more effective, we're not at a 10, you know, we're a little below that where we can work with it, you know, then work with it right then and there. So it's difficult because as parents, it's trial and error for us too.
Yeah.
You know, and I would like to, you know, go back. I was thinking when Lori was talking too that a good message for our kids is we're not perfect parents either. So if I make a mistake as a parent and I tell the little white lie, or I tell them to tell the little white lie, I'm going to say, you know what, that maybe wasn't the best thing for me to do. And I want you to know that.
Yeah.
So if you're jumping into an argument and it's too soon and it doesn't go well, then you say, okay, I can see this is not going well. So we are going to take a time out here, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, and it's never, I think it's always okay to go back and apologize.
Absolutely.
And to say, you know what,
Absolutely.
I screwed up. I
Right.
should not have said that, or I shouldn't have done that. I want a do-over.
Right.
Right.
And what a great model. When you talk about modeling the behaviors you want to see in your kids, modeling, can you forgive me? You know, I made a mistake. Can you forgive me? Those are powerful words. You know, if I have done anything to hurt you, please know that I am very sorry about that. You know, just hearing, especially as you talk about older kids, you know, and as teenagers, when you have teenagers, to be able to speak like that. I was thinking one other thing, because my head is always going, right? When we're talking about fighting, another opportunity to talk about communicating, and you touched on it too, Kerri, about what are you feeling, right? This, and give your kids words. They're feeling words so that they can talk to that.
Right.
Boy,
At every age.
yeah, relationships are built on that. Being able to express what I'm feeling and how that looks for me.
Yeah, so important. I think even I was thinking about teenagers who, you know, are upset about certain things that are happening in middle school or, you know, early high school,
Right.
and they don't even know why they're upset because they haven't been able to sit and really identify the negative feelings. But to really help them get the language, you know, is this what you're feeling, or are you upset possibly because of this scenario, you know, and helping them get to the point where they can say, yeah, actually, that's it.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
That's a good exercise.
And even toddlers, when they're first learning to talk and they're throwing their little fit, and you just say, oh, I can see you're very angry, and you're giving them that word, and they're like, yes, I am angry.
Yeah.
You know, and then the tantrum looks completely different because they can verbalize it.
And you've
instead of act
acknowledged
it
their
out.
feelings and validated it and all
Exactly.
those good things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The other piece that I think of is the modeling piece of just checking in with yourself first. If you're at a 10, you know, the argument may be at a 5, but if you're at a 10 and you're going in there in a space where you're in an anger space, kids really are only going to see that anger. They're not going to see that space of let's work this out, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
So that's another really powerful thing, is to model, you know, mommy is, I'm really upset right now. And I don't think this would be a good time to talk about what the two of you were arguing about. I'm going to set the kitchen timer for 10 minutes, and we're all going to agree to come back in and talk about this. That's powerful. You're modeling, bring it down, take a deep breath, get yourself centered, and come back. I mean, isn't that what we want our teenagers to do if they get frustrated with the teacher? To really think before they speak.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's great. That's managing the intensity. That's really good. And plus, I always am a huge believer that the teachable moment is not in the heat of the moment.
Absolutely.
So when things are just dicey and everybody's angry and in conflict, that is not the time to say, now you listen to me, young man.
There's the saying, you don't teach a drowning man to swim.
Right.
That's kind of what you were talking. Just like get him out of the water, then you can do the teaching.
Exactly. And for older kids, that might be a day or two later, after whatever has transpired, that level of intensity has gone down. Obviously, for 2, 3, 4-year-olds, it needs to be fairly quick.
Right.
But yeah, that's
Somebody
great.
said to me once that it's really important to take your clues from your kids, right? That they're not going to be able to talk, some kids, right away, and some kids will just be able to immediately. So you kind of take your cues from them. And there's nothing wrong with letting things sit. There's nothing wrong with maybe you and your teenager are having some stuff that's going on and you feel like things are heated a lot and there's a lot of tension. If there's a good show on TV that they really like and you like, just sit and watch TV with them. You don't have to fix everything. Just being with them in just a casual space. You don't have to constantly have these intense conversations. So that resonated with me for sure. It's like, oh, it's okay just to sit and watch Heroes and talk about, I wonder what's going to happen next. Who's going to be the superhero, you know? But
You know, something you touched on earlier with the, excuse me, kids fighting, and just, I think behaviors that are continually happening in the home over and over again, there's a consistency to the misbehavior, really frustrates parents. And there are a lot of upset, constantly frustrated parents out there. And so they go in always as a 10, you know, with their level of intensity because they're sick and tired of it. You know, you hear that all the time, I'm sick and tired of this, I'm sick and tired of that. And so they go into the situation with that, you know, level of intensity already high. And I just wonder, you know, what does it take to help parents see that they need to lower that intensity first before they go in, or that approach isn't working for them anymore, you know? And so what are we going to do differently? And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to help parents through that, but I know there's a lot of frustrated parents who are stuck in that mindset of, you know, my kids always do this, they always behave this way. You know, it's almost that like, you know, they're out to get me and I'm done with it. Right. You know, gosh, I hate to see that because I feel like they've given up on trying something new.
I think of two things really quickly when you say that. One is to really educate yourself about what is developmentally appropriate for kids. A lot of times we come in with these expectations of our children of they should be doing this. They should not, they should be sharing. Well, you know what? A 2 and 3 year old, really developmentally, that is the growth piece. And really, they shouldn't be sharing. It's theirs. They're always going to think it's theirs. And good luck with that. You know, so you can fight that battle for a long time. Right. But sometimes that doesn't come till 4 or 5. Sometimes
and it's not that we have to give up and not try to keep educating them.
But it is a piece where you can kind of come back down and say, okay, they're supposed to be doing that. And I can coach them through that. But I can still stay at that level, model it, but to expect it to stop and cease, it might be you need to change your expectation a little bit. And then the other piece I think of is that quote of just the carrot works so much better than the stick. So that piece of picking out the good and rewarding the good. Kids get energized by that. They do. They want to please. They want to know what your expectation is and how they can make you happy. And how they can keep the peace. So I think that's what came to mind when you were saying that.
It just brought the quote to mind. Tell them what to do, not what to don't.
Yes.
Because you know, it's exactly what you were saying. If you catch them doing something well and then you say, I really like the way you made your bed and cleaned your room this morning, or I really like the way you were so helpful with cleaning the kitchen today, is a lot better than don't you dare leave that room until it's clean. Right.
Whole different delivery there. Yeah.
Very diverse ones.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I was just piggybacking on Kerri's thought here, because if you know developmentally what that expectation is and it's appropriate and you're still getting that, oh, they're just always doing it, and that frustration of there's no change, then I think you need to go back to another thing Kerri said about doing a check on yourself. So is my consequence logical and am I consistent with it? Because if you have those two pieces, you have an inappropriate behavior developmentally, you have a logical consequence for it, and you are consistently delivering that, then the child gets to predict, okay, I'm going to predict if I misbehave, then I know this is going to happen.
Right.
So eventually that pattern will become less and less, and they'll get it, and then the behavior will stop.
Right. Well, and that's a great example. Everything you guys are saying is a great reminder of why parenting classes are great for people, because when you get that to that point of frustration that nothing's working anymore, what better time than to go find some new tools? So it's curious to me that over the years, people have begun to see parenting classes as something for other people, not for themselves. And yet every graduate of a parenting class I've ever taught, and I know you would say the same thing, leaves there so grateful for the information. And it's not what we are doing, it's the information we're presenting that is so valuable and so life-changing. It's
the other part is that the support that they're getting from other parents.
Absolutely.
So when you talk about how do you lower that level of, you know, that intensity level where we can feel confident and assured that, you know, this isn't the end of the world and my children aren't going to end up in the juvenile detention, you know, because they're not cleaning their room, and we can kind of maintain that perspective. What helps is that you're sharing our story with other parents who are experiencing the same thing as we are, and that fills our bucket, if you will. There's a great analogy of what if you have 2 pots of water on the stove, one's full of water and one has an inch of water, which one is going to boil faster? Well, the one with hardly any water. And if you think of yourself as that, if I'm not filled and taking care of myself and have support in other parents, I'm way down here and I will boil really fast. It won't take very long. And if my pot is really full and I have friends that I can talk to, and I'm maybe in a parenting class where I can talk about, what should I do here, and I tried this, and oh, this really works, and sharing our stories, my pot's going to be nice and full, and it's going to take a lot for me to get way up here. And it's a challenge always in our parenting. From when they're first born to when they leave the house, is we're constantly having to find that balance.
Right. When you have a newborn, filling the pot's as simple as just having a good nap in the
Yeah.
afternoon and getting that baby to sleep more than 3 hours a night.
Yep.
But as you go through it with them, it's different. And each of us fills our own pot in different ways. But you're 100% right. And those parenting classes offer a great opportunity to hear what's working for other people, and also to not feel so alone. I mean, there's nothing better than hearing somebody else repeat your life right there.
Right.
Oh my gosh, you too?
Yeah.
It's the hardest job we have.
Yeah, it is.
So why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
And we all have great skills. I mean, there's, for the most part, 99% of parents are decent parents. Well, why not be better parents? Why would you not want information that is going to bring you up to be even a better parent, and you're going to enjoy your kids more and just have even more skills? But there is judgment. I think sometimes we put judgment around saying even that you go to a parenting class. What do people think then? I'm not a good parent. I mean, all of that.
Yeah. And I find them to be, a group full of people who are, it's like a self-help class, like a personal growth class is probably a better way to put it. That people are just eager to be better, like you said, eager to find that one thing that's going to, really make them have a rockin' relationship with their kids. And it's great to see. It's really great to see.
Well, in all the different parenting classes that Youth Zone teaches, so we teach lots of different curriculums, and we'll be teaching more parenting classes in March, so look for that at Valley here. And they all have there's different lessons, but they all kind of overlap and weave. And so any parenting class, I would say, that's out there probably has some really good meat that you can draw from. But there are some also that are really focused on teens, the one that you teach, or younger kids, which is redirecting children's behavior. So you can pick and choose a little bit too. But
tell us about Moods and Attitudes, because I told you I love that name.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've taught it, because
we've taught it.
We
You don't teach English at Youth Zone.
It's been a while since I taught that. But really, our goal in that class is to normalize teenage behavior, really educate parents on developmentally what's supposed to be doing, what's supposed to be happening, and then also just how to communicate, how to get in that space of restoring a great relationship with your kiddos. Because sometimes, as we know in adolescence, there is a huge gulf in a relationship between a parent and a child, and we cannot realize that it's gotten really, really separated there. So we work on just restoring that.
If I've never attended a parenting class in my life and I don't have a great foundation, don't really, tried to have a good relationship with my kids, but they get to those teen years, kind of out of control, is that a class I could take? I mean, is it ever too late to take a parenting class?
No. I've had actually a grandparent in mine, so I don't think it's ever too late. And the other service that we give that parents are very responsive to is the parent consult. So it's a 1 hour brief, here's what's going on with me, and it's where you collect resources. We try to give parents the outside community resources, and then within Youth Zone what might help them. But it's a very non-threatening service that maybe if someone's not ready for a class, that you can do some one-on-one work.
And do you find those to be more utilized by parents of teenagers or parents of kids of all ages?
Kids of all ages,
Yeah,
really.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great resource, I think, for parents to be able to come in and just say, here's what's on my mind, what do you think?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a great first step.
We have parents come in. I've had several that come in a lot of times on Monday mornings because they've had a really rough weekend. And so they just need that, am I doing it right? I need some encouragement right now. I need some support. And that's the one-on-one help that we can give. That's maybe a very, the best fit for your family, but it can be ongoing. It can be once a week, it could be once a month, it could be every time you have some kind of concerns, you just call and come in, and we can coach you through that.
Well, and they were just showing the Youth Zone website there, so I know that people can go to your website, find out about the parent consults, the individual counseling sessions, the parenting classes, all of the family and education stuff that you have going on.
One of my favorite quotes is, love me when I deserve it the least, because that's when I need it the most. And that's really hard for parents, to love somebody when they deserve it the least, when they're fed up and their bucket's empty and they're in the they've got that inch of water and they're the ones that are boiling. So I think it's just really important to be able to keep yourself at a level where you can love at the hardest time.
Kath Coles is the author of Redirecting Children's Behavior, and I remember she gives the advice that when you're really struggling with one of your children's behavior, think of 3 things you love about that child. Because it's really hard to be angry at them when you've just thought of 3 things you love about them. Plus, it gets you back in a place of sort of balance, like, okay, this is not the end of the world. This is what I love about this child. And yes, we're experiencing this challenge right now, but it helps balance them out. And then, like I said, it's hard to look at them and be super angry when you at least have that in your mind. So maybe you're going to parent from a place of love instead of anger, and that's a great
what positive parenting is all about.
Exactly. I know you said earlier, is there really an alternative?
Yeah, that's the alternative to positive parenting. It doesn't look so good.
Yeah, I'm a negative parent.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, we wouldn't go around. Maybe we'll do a whole show on that. Negative parenting, and we'll really put people on the spot.
Oh dear.
Well, thank you guys so much. It was great to just have a chat around the table today and talk about something that I know we all really believe in and are passionate about sharing, because it does make a difference. It makes a huge difference in the lives of our kids. So thank you for being here. And I also want to thank the Parent Talk Consortium, which has helped put together all the resources in the Valley and share them on things like MomsTV. So when you have a chance, check out Parent Talk on Facebook, and if you want more information, you can go to MomsTV on Facebook as well. Thank you all so much for joining us today on MomsTV.